Hey there, friend. Just wanted to pop in here and say that today's story is The Glass Sea by Dr. Nibs. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more content like this. Enjoy. The land above was cast under the heat of a powerful sun, illuminating the miles and miles of coarse sand. Jagged spikes made of glass jutted up from the ground, piercing the sky. They glowed with the light of 1,000 suns and twisted under and over the blood-red sand, which felt like 1,000,000 tiny needles to the touch. Beneath it all, there was a cornstalk-like man. He wasn't sure how he got there, and he wasn't sure why he was there, but he did know one thing. He was drowning. He looked around frantically and noticed the rocks that protruded from the cave around him, and the white barrier that kept him below the water's surface. He began banging on the barrier. It was cold and it stung to the touch. He kept hitting it over and over and over again, leaving his hands red and purple with bruises. He felt himself fading, drifting into the depths of the cave and sinking into the darkness. Suddenly, the barrier above him trembled and opened to reveal a blinding light. A figure, large as a bull, jumped down into the cold water, grabbing the man and pulling him to the surface. After a few minutes of resuscitation, the drowned man awoke.
"We haven't had a new guy in a while,"
the figure remarked, looking down at the man he had saved. He held out a large hand and pulled up his new companion.
"You have a name?"
the figure inquired, resting his hand on his large knees. I don't know. I thought I had one, but I don't remember," the man replied. The figure put his hand up in defense.
"That's fine, totally fine. No one remembers anything about who they were in this place. I was just hoping somebody would."
He turned away, his face contorted in a grimace.
"Don't you worry. We give each other names around here. Any name you would like."
Sure. I've always kind of liked..."
"I know,"
the figure yelled, spinning around suddenly.
"Your name shall be Drown, because you almost drowned."
"Oh, jeez. Thanks," Drown mumbled.
"You can call me Volcom,"
he said, pointing to the letters on his shirt that was nothing but tingling ribbons.
"Welcome to the Glass Sea,"
Volcom proclaimed, raising his arms in the air. A pang of anger struck Drown's heart. He didn't want to be here in this barren hellscape. He knew he had a life once, far away from this place, with a dog and a small home. Drown wanted to be back there more than anything in his life. How do we leave here?" Drown asked. Volcom turned to look at him confused, crossing his face.
"You don't leave here. No one does. Not without his permission."
"Whose?"
"The entity's. He's the worst. Didn't let my mate out even though he was only a lad."
"Where is he now?" Drown inquired.
"Why, he's right there,"
pointed Volcom. Drown focused his gaze until his eyes fell upon a little pile of glass. Volcom wasn't entirely right in the head, thought Drown. I need to get away from him.
"I can take you to the entity if you'd like,"
Volcom offered.
"He's just over those hills."
"Oh, that would be swell," Drown said as they marched across the dunes, careful to avoid the glass. He didn't entirely believe in Volcom's entity, but was so desperate for any kind of hope that he would take whatever chance he could get. They walked for what seemed like forever under the blazing sun, and it began to take its toll on Drown. Do you have any water?" Drown murmured.
"Water? Who needs water? We've only been walking for 2 minutes."
"What? How?" Drown responded, but couldn't continue his sentence because his tongue had completely dried out. He reached for his mouth, but found he did not have the power to raise his arms. He sank to his knees and slumped over, rolling down the dune.
"Here, let me help you,"
was Volcom's only response. He then proceeded to cut his arm open with glass and let the blood fall onto Drown.
"Oh, looks like I cut a bit too much,"
said Volcom as he sank below the churning sand. Soon, sand began to flood into the nose, ears, and mouth of Drown as it carried him below the surface. It brought many shards of glass, each slicing and cutting Drown. As glass punctured his eyes, he woke up exactly where he had started. "What is this place?" he said aloud, surprising himself with the sound of his voice.
First death is always the worst death.
A familiar voice proclaimed. Drown turned around to see Volcom standing next to him with a deep, jagged scar on his wrist. "Did you know that was going to happen?" cried Drown, grabbing Volcom by the collar of his shirt. "Did you?"
No! Get your hands off of me.
Volcom yelled, slapping Drown's hand away. "You're insane. I never should have trusted you."
I didn't know you were gonna die like that. The entity chooses how we die.
Drown spun around to look Volcom in the face. "No, Volcom, there is no entity here. There is only you and I in this insane place."
He's testing you like he likes to test the others. He wants to see if you're ready.
"What?"
Look at my mates here. Do you think they were always sand and glass?
Uttered Volcom, who pointed at the piles next to him.
I wasn't able to stop them from becoming part of this place, but I can help you. You need to go back over the dunes and meet with him. The entity will decide your fate. He's already decided mine.
With the information from Volcom, Drown decided to return over the dunes. As Volcom stared longingly after him, wishing to follow him one more time, he spit out a shard of glass which cut his neck as it passed up its trachea. Making it over the final dune, Drown looked at the hole in the ground wider and deeper than anything he could ever imagine. Before him stood a man plucked from the upper class of the 1920s. He turned to look at Drown, his fez moving slightly. "You are interesting, Peter," he said, analyzing him carefully. "Do you want to go home?" "Yes, more than anything." "Shame. I thought you would like it here in my kingdom." "Oh, I don't, and I would quite like to go home. And who the hell are you?" The entity turned to look at him and threw his hands into the air. "I am Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." As he said this, the ground trembled and Drown backed away, afraid of the power of Ozymandias. "You will not leave unless I will it," screamed Ozymandias, black saliva dripping from his mouth. "I am God here, and you will obey me." The glass around Drown began to move. Humanoid shapes shattered out of glass prisms. They began to lurch toward him, reaching for their target. Seeing it as his only chance of escape, Drown ran to the abyss, dodging the outstretched hands of glass. The sand reached up behind him, trying to catch him, but it was too slow. Drown had already hurled himself into the abyss, plummeting further and further down, as the screams of Ozymandias were drowned out by silence. Peter Hawkins woke up. He was somewhere new, somewhere different, but this time, he knew where he was. He was home. As he got up, a small dog brushed through the stalks of corn to meet him. Peter got up and patted his dog, and walked out of the field, not noticing the small shard of glass he had left behind. So that, my dear listeners, was The Glass Sea by Dr. Nibs. I hope you enjoyed that story. I wanted to do some different voices for this one. I'm sorry if you hated it. I just wanted to play around with it. It's a good story. Really neat sci-fi style story, which I don't get enough of on this channel. And I saw the opportunity to do the deeper voice for Volcom and the British voice, I guess, for Ozymandias. I didn't intend to do a British accent at first, but it totally just came out. Anyway. If you guys liked the story, please do give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Also, please do consider subscribing to the channel. That helps the channel grow, and the more I grow, the more I get to do this. Lastly, if you feel so inclined, leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. Unless your name is Tom, in which case leave me 4 comments telling me how great my content is. You crazy, crazy robot. Down in the description, you'll find links to this story, as well as links to my Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit, and a page where you can submit a story to me if you have one. I would love to read anything you want to send my way. That is all for today. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and a great week. See you on the next video, but until then, sleep well.